Hello, Oscar.
Hello.
We might have left and returned, or we might have not.
Yes, nobody knows.
No, well,
Will we know?
we don't know, but they will.
Ah.
Welcome, if this is a new episode, to Somehow the Sting of Time Has Returned. Today, we're taking a look at Star Wars Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, and
Star Wars, Jedi, Fallen Order.
Yes. You were the pilot for both of these games.
Yes.
So just like last matchup where I was the player for both games, you were the player for these.
That is correct.
These are also a lot more, I'd say, thematically linked.
Yes, they certainly are. They are also, in my mind at least, how I perceive them, much more like universally liked games.
Yes.
Compared to the last two games covered in the last matchup. Fallen Order is interesting because it's a very new game, especially in comparison to a lot of the games that we have played. A lot of the games are like old games. And when I played Fallen Order, it was an interesting experience because the game feels like it's... I wouldn't say it's a good game, but it's somewhat functioning game, but they forgot to make it good, I guess. I mean, it's
I think when we played it, we were both pretty positive on it.
Yes, that's kind of what I mean, because when we were playing it, we had played so many like objectively bad games that were like in our objective opinion bad games, and then it was
pretty early though.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
But I think it was like the Star Wars dread was kind of really setting in.
Yeah, I think there were 7 games or something.
Yeah, and here comes the modern Star Wars game, new bad, old good, all that kind of stuff. And then I played, and it felt okay. Like at the start, the intro sequence to the game I think is great. Because the game starts with Cal Kestis, who is like a survivor of Order 66, where all the Jedi get wiped out. So he's living, under hidden identity as a construction worker on a space, Star Wars space construction thing, because they like salvage.
Yeah, it's a scrapyard.
Yeah, exactly. The beginning sequence of the game, you just play as Cal, he's at work, basically. He's at work at the scrapyard, and he's doing a lot of, parkour around climbing, and you see...
It's very Uncharted.
Yes, it's very, very Uncharted. I don't want to make it sound like I like Uncharted and think Uncharted is good, but it's very similar to Uncharted. And what ends up happening is the Jedi Inquisitors or whatever come to the scrapyard and start fucking everything up, and it gets discovered that he's a Jedi, and or it gets discovered he's a Jedi because he has to use the Force to save the life of one of his co-workers who's about to die in like an accident. And this entire sequence is I will say it, I think it's really good. It looks good. It really like puts you into like wow,
does it sound good?
We'll get to that. It's very good, and then the rest of the game is like below or well middling at best. I feel like it's like a game of missed opportunities.
I think to me the biggest fallen part of Fallen Order, the biggest misstep, is the supporting cast, or the characters in general.
Absolutely.
I don't like Cal Kestis that much, but I don't think he's egregious in this first game. But the rest of the cast to me might as well not have been there.
Yes, the main thing that I feel that we took away from the game after having played the entire game is that because the game has this structure where it's it's not like an open world game, but you go to like different planets, and the planets are big open-ended levels.
I mean, it's trying to basically be... It's like if you took the Dark Souls 1 map and chopped it up into 5 zones that don't connect.
Yes, and you could also point out that the game is clearly, you know, like Dark Souls, particularly Sekiro inspired gameplay, for good or ill. Touching a bit on the gameplay, I thought the gameplay was, you know, it was serviceable. Yeah, it was fine. Whatever.
I'll say though that I do think the game definitely has one foot firmly in Mongolian Star Wars and one in Disney Star Wars.
Yes.
And it is super obvious to someone who has experienced multiple eras of Star Wars that the way a Jedi works is very different.
Yes.
Like just like how your force powers, I think the force powers are kind of shitty.
Yes, I didn't like any of the force powers, and I think I barely used any force powers like the entire game. I don't like the Disney / Mongolian Star Wars force power representation thing with like stuff like in the Disney, how Kylo Ren stops the blaster bolt and everything has to vibrate and sound like, you know, like you're grinding a guitar in a meat grinder or something. Yeah, it's really bad. I like it when the force is soundless, invisible, and when it's not that, it's a huge deal. Like Palpatine's lightning or stuff like that. But now all force things are just. It feels like you're a psyker in Warhammer or something. Like everything is a lot more. Gruesome.
It's very visceral.
Yeah, exactly, visceral.
It makes it definitely less mysterious.
Yes.
To me, the force...
It's just a superpower.
Yeah,
now.
Exactly. It's not, you know, to me, the force isn't a force of nature.
No.
It's a supernatural force.
Yes.
It's something above and beyond. Whatever. We have another game to talk about.
Yeah.
The second game is Jedi Academy, which is... I guess sort of a soft expansion pack, you could call it, to Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast. Developed by Raven Software, who also did Outcast. When was it released?
Extremely good question, and I have no idea.
2003 maybe.
Yeah, something around that time. I also played Jedi Academy. Yeah. I'll say that when I was young Oscar, I played a lot of Jedi Outcast and... a little less of Jedi Academy.
Yeah, I'm the same. I played Jedi Academy. I've definitely played through it more than once, but Outcast was the game.
Yes, Outcast was the game for true aficionados. The thing with Jedi Academy is remembered or brought up a lot by people when it comes to Star Wars, because just as we said earlier in maybe an earlier episode about Force Unleashed, how the lightsaber is like a beat stick.
Yeah.
Jedi Academy is often brought up as this is the perfect lightsaber combat.
Yeah.
This is, you know, every game should be like Jedi Academy, and so on and so on. I feel like the problem with this kind of like rose-tinted view of what the combat in Jedi Academy was like is that, and this is talking about like single player Jedi Academy, is that number one, you have to use a cheat in order to achieve that sort of like realistic lightsaber thing, which while cool, you know, the game is not designed around killing everything in one hit or dying in one hit, but you know, that could be fun if you like to. But number two, this game, like if we forget about lightsabers, this game has awful levels. It has awful like narrative progression through the game, terrible characters.
Yeah.
And also the baffling decision to like create your own character which is completely inconsequential and feels like it's just weird. The story is nonsensical, all the characters are weird and bad, terrible voice acting, terrible writing, terrible everything. But it should be noted that the playthrough of Jedi Academy was cut short. We did not play the entire game.
The game didn't function.
Yes.
It didn't work.
We have both played Jedi Academy in the past as young versions of ourselves.
Which is why we let it slide.
Yes, because what happened as we played the game was that the game has a mission structure where you can pick in segments between, you can pick which of these 3 missions you should do, and then in next tier pick which of these 3 missions, and so on and so on. And we got some kind of glitch in the game where we weren't able to move past a forced intermission cutscene between these 2 tiers of missions. So what I, in my wisdom, tried to do was that I'll just load up the missions manually through the in-game console. And this seemed to work at first, but it was sadly a lie, and I was slowly demoleculizing the structure of the game, and eventually it just didn't work or function at all, so we flushed it.
Yes. But we have played the game before, so it doesn't really matter. To me, the Jedi Academy and Jedi Outcast, and I'll say even the multiplayer, for me, as much as I've definitely played that game on a LAN, it's a fine enough game. But to me, the idea that this is great lightsaber combat has always been such a fucking lie. It's just people spinning around and mashing buttons.
The game can be fun, obviously. As a game, the combat can be fun, especially in multiplayer. But it's not a good representation of lightsaber combat, and it never was.
No.
It's just because the game is Quake. The game is Quake free. Or whatever, but it's Quake free with lightsabers, and the characters in multiplayer and things like that wield the lightsabers are wielding them as a Quake character would wield a lightsaber. They are flailing, like they're just going max speed.
And in an Academy game, you have, I think, what makes people feel like Academy was such a banger. Maybe it's twofold. One is the fact that you could you not only had the lightsaber, which has quick, medium, and heavy attacks, but you have dual lightsabers and you have the Darth Maul lightsaber,
saber staff,
and those also have 3 move sets. Though I'd argue that these aren't. They're fun things to do, and it makes you feel like you have a playstyle, but you don't really. But then also, people just have modded the complete fucking shit out of this game for 20 years. So their version of the game might be the ultimate saber combat, but we're not talking about their modern version of the game, so it doesn't really matter.
Aren't you excited?
Both these games are somewhat similar in a lot of ways. They have the whole customize your lightsaber thing, which was super big back then. They both have I'm not really gonna compare their casts and stories, though they are both sort of narrative related to a Jedi Academy, so that's sort of similar. And they both have globe trotting, and they both have bespoke vehicle sections, I guess I'll say.
Yes.
So they are quite similar. At least they touch on these points.
Yeah.
You wanna get into the reviews?
Yeah, sure.
maybe you'll. No, I'll start this time. You started last time.
Yes.
So I have translated the Jedi Academy review, which reads as following. Jedi Academy is conceptually a, quote, better game than Jedi Outcast. This because you get to begin the game with force powers and lightsaber stuff, and the game feels more designed towards those things with its enemy encounters. All of this falls somewhat flat when you realize the game doesn't actually work. There are, however, more than one animation in the game though, so I suppose that's a point in Jedi Academy's corner. Jaden, the main character, is not a cool one. Rosh, his sidekick, is absolutely not a cool character. But you do get to kill him, so it's not all bad. Force Lightning is still great. The game tricks you into believing it has levels designed by a human. But joke's on you, it's back to the same outcast tier hellholes after the honeymoon period. Jedi Academy has 20% as many enemies as Jedi Outcast. That is good. And the next section is written fully in caps. If the game had worked, it would probably have been alright.
I agree with my past self. I feel like the review holds up, and I'd also I look forward to talking at length about Outcast's level design in comparison, but that should be a bomb for another time. All right, shall I get into the review for?
Yes, let's hear it. Let's hear Fallen Order.
Fallen Order. A game that kind of works. Nice moon physics, rats. Would have been better.
Mood, isn't it moon?
Moon?
Yeah, moon physics.
Yeah,
rats.
I said moon physics.
Oh, I thought it was in mood.
No, well, mood physics as well. Nice moon physics, rats. Would have been better if every character on the ship didn't exist. Should have been just Cal with his robot pal. Good hot rod lightsaber making.
Yeah.
Good Vader at the end. Good big lizard thing in the distance at Barong Gong Gong, which is me writing the name of the planet where that lizard appears from memory.
Yes.
The behind the scenes documentary was the worst. Lost faith in both present and future. The beginnings of Mongolian Star Wars.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. But do you remember that? We actually watched
watched the Respawn documentary.
Yeah.
The internal... these sort of studio internal documentaries are always such massive, jerk-off sessions.
Yes, it was really like uncomfortable watching it, because it was just like that. We really feel like we're part of something really great here.
Yeah.
And then it's like a picture of like T-pose and Cal Kestis sliding down a thing or whatever.
Yeah. It's funny to think about this, because Respawn obviously... not only did this game turn out to be a massive fucking hit, but during the development of this, they launched Apex Legends, which became massive, super massive for them. But before this, the Respawn guys, if you don't know, were basically the people that made Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare 2. And then they fucked off from Infinity Ward, and they got big dick money from everyone, and they made Titanfall, which like 4 people played. And then they made Titanfall 2, which 3 people played. So looking at that documentary, which is made before they have this sort of massive rise from the grave, people are sort of religiously happy to have a Star Wars game to work on. And both you and me, modern Star Wars has more or less made sure that I have no ability to be nostalgic for the Star Wars franchise. Like, that doesn't really exist anymore. I do still like the movies, especially the original trilogy, but this reverence doesn't exist. It has been cut. The umbilical cord has been cut.
Yes.
So that was weird. That was super weird.
Yeah, you thought it was weird to see how excited they were.
Yeah, it seems so weird. How can you be excited about this? Especially if you're like an old school fan.
Yeah.
You hinted there at Mongolian Star Wars. This game obviously coined Mongolian Star Wars with the intro music. Yes,
because in the intro, the only good, the best part of the game, the intro, the first time you see Cal, he's like crouched down working on some, whatever construction thing, and he has these like earbuds, and he's listening to Mongolian throat singing.
upset your rhythm, Cal, but the boss wants a word.
That's basically the start of Mongolian Star Wars, because since then there's another along with Mongolian Star Wars, there's another defining trait of modern Star Wars or Disney Star Wars, which has been somewhat pointed out among people who point out such things, that the alien design,
eloquently put.
Yes, that the alien designs in Disney Star Wars all follow a very similar, like big head, small eyes, wide face, wide mouth,
very cat features.
Yeah, exactly, and so on, so that's like one part of it. Like all the aliens in the Disney Star Wars movies all look the same. Then when it comes to Mongolian Star Wars, a lot of like how music is represented in modern Star Wars, it's always Mongolian throat singing. It's always Mongolian throat singing, like aesthetics of like, oh, here's this village in Andor, or like this village in wherever, full of Mongolian aesthetics. Like, is everybody Mongolian now? Is Star Wars just Mongolia in space? And it's I think it's really like it's really weird. It's baffling.
Another part of Mongolian Star Wars, I think, that distinctly makes it separate from Disney Star Wars is that Mongolian Star Wars tries to be gritty in a way that Disney Star Wars does not. So Mandalorian is firmly Mongolian Star Wars, even though it doesn't necessarily have Mongolian throat singing in it. It still falls into that. The Favreau.
Exactly. It's like the this ain't your daddy's Star Wars.
Exactly.
This is a gritty Star Wars where everybody is just grumbles and looks really angsty and sad, and the only horrible, terrible things happen, and it has no Star Wars mood. It has no, but dude, there's a TIE fighter, so it's Star Wars, and that sort of thing.
Okay, so have you made the decision? Which game do you think moves on from this?
I'm inclined to say Fallen Order
moves on.
Yes. And the reason why I say that is because I care more, and I said, like, I played a lot of Jedi Academy, I played a lot of Jedi Outcast, but I feel like I conceptually care more about Fallen Order in a way where because it was really close to being good.
Yeah.
And so while Jedi Academy and those are like they just exist and are, I don't really know how to put it, but
I'll make it easy for you then. I also think Fallen Order wins this, and I have some reasons for.
Please share them.
I'll say this: Fallen Order, and this will be possibly just some positive qualities from Fallen Order, and then I'll tell you some bad stuff about this. This is more about Academy losing, I guess, than Fallen Order winning. Because the only positive thing I had written down for Fallen Order is that I like the new locales well enough. Though I wish you didn't go to Kashyyyk. So I guess that's a...
God, I've forgotten all about that. You know what? Actually, it doesn't.
I'm sure we'll get to kill Fallen Order soon enough.
Yes.
But Jedi Academy, I've written down, Jedi Knight games being actually good is the biggest retroactive gaslighting in the universe.
Yes, absolutely.
And I've also just written down these levels in caps. Remember that Jedi Academy has such insane level design.
Yes.
And it isn't even the worst of them, but it's really bad. And it gets worse the more you play. And the game tries to do all these set piece things.
Yes.
There's the whole like...
The crash level.
Yeah, the crash level, which is... All these things are... They're sort of like a bootleg trash version. A worse version of Shadows of the Empire.
Yes.
Which we'll get to.
Yes.
It's like, oh, we want to do all these things. Look at the speed bike. The speed bike doesn't fucking work.
Yeah, it's like the ice clone.
It's frustrating!
I can't believe this. The speed bike section is so awful. It doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't make sense. Why is this canyon so long?
Yeah.
Why is there one house? It's awful.
Yeah. Riding the Tauntaun on Hoth isn't good. Trying to find your way into that fucking base isn't good. The characters are trash. This game character assassinates Kyle Katarn, which Kyle is great. He's a great character.
We love Kyle in these lands.
Especially love him in Dark Forces.
Yes.
And Dark Forces 2.
Mistress of the Sith.
Yeah.
No!
But he's trash in this game. He and Luke are both just morons.
Yes.
Idiots who show up late all the time for no fucking reason.
They're like weird proto-Marvel characters who just are awful.
And the weakest characters, I'd say, in Jedi Outcast are the baddies. Dazan is shit.
Tavion.
And Tavion is worse, and she's the baddie in Academy.
Yes.
And you don't even really get to know that she's the baddie until pretty late. And the whole she has to get a fucking staff to resurrect an ancient Sith. That shit. Okay, so we talked about how there's eras, right? There's Star Wars, Disney Star Wars, Mongolian Star Wars, McDonald's Star Wars, all that shit. There's also just KOTOR.
Yes, KOTOR Star Wars.
Yeah. And KOTOR Star Wars has infected Academy.
Yes.
Because resurrecting an ancient Sith in a tomb who has a statue and a staff that shoots laser.
Yeah.
That is firmly KOTOR shit.
You go to the same tomb in the KOTOR.
Yeah.
It's like the
You
same.
do?
Yeah, because the Sith is Marco Ragnos.
Polo.
Yeah, Marco Polo or whatever his name is. And in KOTOR you're on Korriban, it's the Sith tombs. But I think you actually can't go into his tomb.
Oh, okay.
So it's fine.
Yeah, we'll get to KOTOR in the future.
KOTOR, just wait, all you
Yeah.
KOTOR lovers.
But all that is trash. It's no good, as they say. And if we were talking about multiplayer games, maybe these games could be saved. But we're not. We're talking about the single player experience.
Single player aspect.
I think for me, perhaps the only good part of Jedi Academy, like actually good part, is when you boot the game up, you go, oh, I'm gonna make my guy. You make your guy. You pick your lightsaber color, and if you pick yellow, you're a shithead. Turn off this video. And then you go through the training, and you get to pick your first mission. And this is where you get to the single good part of Jedi Academy. You pick the train mission, you play the train mission, and that's it.
Yes, and then you turn off the game.
Yeah.
Almost what we did.
Yeah.
So
you could argue that maybe like the first 3 or so possible levels are okay because they're short. They're short and you understand where you're going.
Yes.
I think it loses. I think it loses hard.
Definitely. Like Fallen Order has a lot of negatives as well, like modern gaming-ism.
Yes, but we'll get to that. We'll get to... Remember, Fallen Order moving on doesn't mean that it's spared.
Exactly. And so I'm saving all of those for the next time Fallen Order somehow returns.
I will say, if you want to have... If your fingers are itching and you're going, I want to play Jedi Academy or Jedi Outcast, any of those games, any of the Raven games, you can make it a good experience for yourself by just watching Jerma play Jedi Academy.
Absolutely, yes. The best playthrough of a Star Wars game on the internet is Jerma playing Star Wars Jedi Academy.
Yes.
Watch that instead. Don't watch it yourself or play it yourself.
Maybe we'll do a bonus episode at some point where we'll list the top 3 Star Wars game playthroughs. Because we recently watched one of Jedi Survivor, which was pretty good as well. But we'll get to that.
That is a tale for another galaxy.
Yes. So I guess that's it.
Yeah. Fallen Order survives. Jedi Academy fucking